Greetings, comrades. My name is Cactus, and in case part of the title of this video confused you, I'll explain that. So what happened was, and it's still ongoing in a sense, but yesterday what happened was, you see, I follow The Chosen on Facebook. Okay, for those of you that don't know, it's effectively a show. It's a multi-season show, which basically shows the life of Jesus during his ministry on earth, a little bit before that, and how he's interacting with the apostles and everything. And it's a really good show. A lot of people have in the comments have said it's really helping bring people to the faith. It's helping humanize Christ in a way people understand that they don't seem as almost as like a stiff-faced, unsmiling person that you see in some icons, but he was a human just like us. I mean, obviously he was both a man and God, but it just makes him easier to connect with. Okay, so it's a really good show. I haven't watched it yet. I really want to. But the reason why I'm mentioning it in the title is because yesterday, and then it relates actually back to an event that happened a week or so ago. What happened was I received a notification on The Chosen that Dallas, the guy who directs The Chosen, went live, and I clicked on it, and I immediately recognized the building he was in. I think it's the Paul VI audience hall. It's in the Vatican. It's basically an audience hall where the Pope can meet with people. It's the one, if you use the wide angle camera lens, it looks like a snake head, which it isn't. But he was in there and he said he was going to go meet the Pope with Jonathan. I was like, oh, that's cool. And so I waited, and later on pictures of them meeting the Pope came out. And it was quite funny, including this picture that you're seeing here. This picture is the one that it has them. It's the one that was posted on by The Chosen. And effectively what's happening here is that they both of them were both, and when I mean Jonathan here, I mean the guy who's playing Jesus. So what happened was Dallas and Jonathan went to meet the Pope, and the Pope said, and so the Pope, I believe it was the Pope who said this to Jonathan. He said, "So you're Jesus," and he looked at Dallas and said, "And so you're Judas." And he said that to get a laugh, which is why you see Jonathan in the background laughing, and Jonathan is like, "Who? Me?" And then the Pope's doing a really bad job of hiding a laugh. But the point was, they were laughing there. They were talking about the faith. The Pope was saying good job with The Chosen, and they were getting along well, which is important because Dallas is an evangelical and Jonathan is a Catholic. Okay, so even people of different denominations the Pope was talking to them, saying, good job, we like that show. And Dallas, even though he wasn't a Catholic, he was honored to meet the Pope still. Okay, they were glad for that. Now, within the first 4 hours of this meeting with the Pope, on the first 4 hours of posting this image, the Chosen themselves on their comment, they said they're happy to meet the Pope and everything. However, people then started unleashing a world of hate at the Chosen, saying why would they meet with the Antichrist? Why would they meet with the devil? They're going to withdraw funding from The Chosen because they're doing this. The Chosen is becoming political now. It's basically a storm of absolute rubbish. Okay, absolute trolls. And of course, then came the anti-Catholic arguments, which are getting a bit exhausting, to be honest, when seeing it now. What happened was, some of the arguments were talking about, they're meeting in the hall looks like a snake. And as I said, the audience hall is not a snake. It was not designed to be a snake. If you look at the way the hall is built, you'll see, if you look at the outside of it, the outside dimensions, you'll see that it's nowhere near as wide as it looks. It's actually a lot narrower, and the only way you can get those windows in the position that looks like eyes is if you use a wide angle lens. I could probably get a similar effect if I did a panorama shot, and I'll have to probably do something like that. Okay, not just a simple sideways motion. I'd have to curve around significantly because of the distance and the dimensions of the building. And then people are talking about how the picture of Jesus at the bottom, it's actually some sort of monstrous entity made of metal behind the papal throne. No, it's not. The artist who designed it said it was meant to represent Jesus emerging with the resurrection, along with the souls of the limbo of the fathers from what looks like an atomic bomb crater. It's a weird taste in art, and yeah, it is. But the point was, it's meant to show resurrection from destruction. And people were still going, it's satanic and everything. Or some of them even saying, because the Pope was doing this, the metal move, heavy red metal, where you're like, yeah, and it looks like the devil. They were moaning about how that proves the Pope was satanic. It was absolutely stupid. And then there were others saying, the church is a whore of Babylon. I kept refuting them. There were other Catholics in the comments saying, good job. There were other non-Catholics, but they weren't aggressive. They were just, we respect you for being Catholics. we're not going to hate you for being Catholic. We're going to, let's cooperate. They're like, yeah, you know what, good job. We don't like people are calling you satanic because you're not. You're good people, most of you. And it was definitely quite divided in the comments when it came to arguments like that. Yeah, I did get more experience in dealing with such arguments. But the main thing was that how this, in any other post, any other image, there would have been people talking about, oh, thank you, yeah, it's so good, or yeah, look at these guys, they're having a laugh, shows how human they are. But because they meet with the Pope, they pour out hate upon hate upon hate on the Chosen. I mean, I've seen comments from the posts from the Chosen with maybe a few hundred comments on them from their fans. This post in question had several thousand comments within 24 hours. And it's sad because, again, these people in any other situation have been so supportive of the Chosen, but now they're hating on the Pope, well, as they usually do, but then they're also hating on Dallas and on Jonathan and on the Chosen. And like I said, they're threatening to withdraw funding, even though Dallas said that himself. He says that we're not trying to make it like, pro-evangelical. We're just trying to present it as accurately as possible. They're not favoring any specific denomination or church or religion. They're just trying to make it more of a narrative, okay? They're not trying to make it a documentary. And me, as an adult, I say, you know what, that's fine. Okay, just because you might and I may differ in theology, or you may present a couple of things that I would disagree with how they're presented, I'm still fine with that because you're still doing a good job. You're getting 99.999% of everything else fine. You're bringing people back to the faith, and that's good. Okay, I'm sure maybe there were a couple of inaccuracies as well with something like the Passion of Christ, and there were definitely a few things wrong with the Prince of Egypt. But you know what? They're still good movies. Okay, they're really good movies, and I'm not going to hate on the people for making it, saying, oh yeah, they're satanic, they try to twist the truth, because they're not. Okay, it serves its purpose in bringing people closer to Christ. Okay, probably nothing we will ever make will be 100% accurate. And you know what? This guy's he's not trying to make a propaganda for evangelicalism or whatever, or Catholicism. He's just trying to make it so that everyone can connect with it. But he's also trying not to make it so that everyone will like it. In a sense, if we all interpret the Bible to support our own denominations, okay, even regardless of whether you say, oh yeah, my interpretation is superior, just bear with me for a second. If we all interpret the same biblical text differently to support our denominations, that's exactly what the Chosen is doing here. Okay, it's not replacing scriptures, he says, but it's providing something that we can all interpret as saying, oh yeah, it supports our faith from different perspectives. Okay, he's not trying to replace scripture. He's not trying to be pro any specific denomination. Okay, he's being neutral in this, and there's nothing wrong with that. And to see people turning on him so quickly like this, it just shows the two-facedness of many of his supporters there. And the Chosen, okay, they were even responding to some of these comments, talk about how they're going to pull the funding. And the Chosen said, then you really don't understand what our mission is at all. And I feel sorry for these guys because they have to deal with some of these hateful comments. Again, Dallas, he wasn't offended that he was being called Judas. He was laughing at it. He understood the joke. Okay, everyone there was laughing. They were all happy. Okay, they were enjoying themselves, and we should be happy if people are enjoying themselves. Okay, if the Pope for me as a Catholic, if the Pope made a joke, okay, he pulled a joke off with a rabbi or an imam, with a Dalai Lama, I'm not going to be offended by that he's talking with these non-Christians or non-Catholics. I'm not going to be offended by that. I'll just be going, oh look, so we can get along. We can, we don't hate each other. We get along well enough that we can laugh with each other. We can live with each other. We can coexist. Even if our theologies are differing, that doesn't mean we should hate people because they believe differently. But then these hypocrites who talk about, oh yeah, Chosen done so much for us, now go, oh man, you're so satanic. Why are you working with the false prophet? And while we're pulling funding, it's a shame to see such toxicity in a community that's generally so supportive of the Chosen and everyone in it. Me speaking, I've never watched The Chosen. I've seen a few scenes from it, and it's really, really nice. I mean, sometimes when I watch some of the scenes, I struggle not to cry just looking at them. Like the scene when Jesus raised the paralyzed man that was brought in from the ceiling. I was struggling not to cry from that, and I'm already feeling my eyes watering up at that. And even if the entire show isn't 100% accurate in terms of in a Catholic view, that doesn't mean I'm going to hate it for that. Yeah, as I was saying, it's sad to see such toxicity in that community then, when the Chosen is doing so good. So these Pharisees, okay, they say one thing, but in the end they Okay, technically they say another thing, but in this case, is they say one thing and do another thing. They say they love the chosen and how much it's changed their lives, but then they also say how much. Then they also show how much they hate the Pope, and then they hate anyone who meets him. There's this one guy who said, if you meet the great prostitute, which he has no evidence for, if you meet the great prostitute, then you're a prostitute yourself, and you're evil. And I go, so if Jesus meeting sinners made him a sinner, like, this is the kind of stupidity we're talking about here. And again, if anyone thinks that the Pope or the papacy or the Vatican is the whore of Babylon, I will crush you in a debate. Okay, do not try me. Within the last 24 hours, I've had to deal with this argument several times. Okay, don't try me. Oh yeah, so another thing that happened is I was looking at Eden. Okay, my Eden. So I was looking at the plants that we were growing, the cacti. They're growing really well, some of them. The ones in my parents' room, they face the sun for the longest, but they're the Easter cacti, so they do quite well. But I was looking at them a little while back, and I noticed that they're actually mutating now, which is very strange, because with any of my normal other cacti, they're effectively two-sided. Okay, so they've got, it's hard to do this with one hand. They're two-sided. Okay, they have one side, another side, and then they have they're rectangular in shape. Okay, and if you looked at them head on, they would look rectangular. Okay, they would look like that. So if you're looking straight down the leaf, down the length of the leaf, you'll see them as rectangular, unless they were bent slightly. But something I have noticed with the leaves of these Easter cacti is they're no longer rectangular like that anymore. They're actually triangular, so they're more like this, almost like what you would expect when you see the back of an arrow. You know the part that you clip on. Well, you know the back of an arrow that you clip onto the bowstring, where that's just in between the feathers of it. Well, it kind of looks like that, the positioning of the feathers, these leaves, and it's very strange because I haven't seen them in any of my other plants. And the two plants displaying this, although they were taken from the same plant, they were not taken from, I guess, the same point in the plant. They're taken from different sides. So to see those two plants displaying the same mutation, one more strongly than the other, is definitely weird. Like, I'm creating a potentially generation of triangular leaf shaped Easter cacti, which is interesting. It's quite interesting. Oh yeah, also another thing, I've been preparing for my dissertation lately. I mean, I'm arranging to try and have an online lesson with my tutor soon, to try and get the details of my dissertation sorted out, because that's the main thing that I'm going to be focusing on for my third year of university. The first year was settling in, getting used to the workload and everything, which I did quite well. I did well in that year. I'm glad for it. The second year was, I guess, it was also settling in again, but not in the same way I did the first year. It was settling in as well, and keeping in mind the virus and staying at home most of the time, and working for my student accommodation. I did that. I did manage, even with my filthy flatmates, and I was preparing for my dissertation. So I was writing effectively a letter about what I wanted it to be about. I was doing a small basic report about it, and so my tutor looked at it. He said, "Okay, you know what? Good job. I like your idea. Let's change it up a little bit. I'll give you a few pointers." And I said, "Okay, sure." So I'm going to try and meet with him online, try and get that sorted, so I can start working on my dissertation. Because the earlier I can work on it, the less I'll be stressed about when we get to like a month before deadline. I want to make sure I'm like 90% finished by that point in time at least, because I do not need that extra stress on me, especially that I don't think I'll probably be able to extend the deadline, and I'll only really have one major assessment this year, which is the dissertation. So I should just focus on that as best as I can, prepare myself as best as I can now, whilst I still can. I know of one trip we'll be going on, which is a trip to Cornwall, and that could be quite interesting. It's going to be a bit long, so I'll try and schedule videos if I can. But if I know that I try and reply to all the comments on my videos at least every time I upload a video, because I'm on my account. But if I don't reply to your comments for a couple of weeks or a period of time, then that's because I'm on the trip and it may be a little bit before I'm able to answer. Okay, so just bear with me. Even if I do get videos out there, they're just them on a schedule. So I've got that trip to look forward to. I've got the dissertation to look forward to. I'm not sure if I have any other trips because of the coronavirus pandemic, unfortunately. A bit of a shame that. But yeah, just hoping that, next year university will be good. And I mean, we are approaching the end of my second season of Refuting University series. I think I've got a couple more weeks I can squeeze out for the season before I get into year 3. So I'm going to work on the credits for this one in the trailer real soon. Anyway, so interesting week. Shame we've seen that. It's a shame that The Chosen, are such a beautiful show and bringing some people to Christianity in general, has a toxic community of Pharisees there. You'll turn on even on the creators of The Chosen simply because they had a picture with the Pope, and they can't just appreciate the fact, oh well, they're enjoying themselves or reaching across denominations. I plan to mutating, which is strange, and I'm just preparing for my third university now. So, interesting week for me. Hopefully you guys have a good week too. God bless you all. See you next video, comrades. Until then.